Hello and welcome to this episode of Microchips, and today we're looking at this Superstar 360 FM that I got from a nice person all the way in France for a very reasonable price, and I'm sure I could have doubled my money if I would have sold it here in the UK, but we're not going to do that. Anyway, here's a review of the serial number for all you people interested in the serial number. So the radio has got a couple of small issues. The volume controls are a bit noisy, so we're going to have to clean those up. And I think the actual mode selector needs a clean up as well. But apart from that, there was actually not much wrong with this radio when I got it. Apart from obviously the front needs some work doing on it. But we know somebody who can make decals for that, so that's not a problem. So as you can hear, radio receives quite nicely. So we don't actually need to repair much on this radio, just give it a good service and then on with the modifications. There was a little bit of DX coming in on the day I was recording this. So the radio sounds really good. So let's have a look at the condition. So the top just needs a good clean. Bottom again just needs a good clean. Try and get rid of that mark. I think it's just some adhesive, so a little bit of alcohol should get rid of that. Okay, let's have a look inside. And it looks like it's completely original. Doesn't look like anybody's been fiddling in there. Everything looks as it should be. So as you can see from there, it's the 010AB chassis. And obviously the Mark II, because there's the binary, and the MC145106P PLL. So let's have a look at the circuit board side. I don't think there's been any work done onto it. The PLL area looks like it's had something, but not too sure. Now when I got the radio to start off with, the meter was stuck, as they always do on these, so released it by gently turning that screw, and a modification that was told to me was change D14 to a germanium diode to increase the signal meter sensitivity. So let's get down to stripping this radio. So let's get the front off. So as you can see, the front's got plenty of marks on it. Why somebody would wear down the microphone gain control that much, who knows. Well, the front metalwork looks good. So first thing we're going to do is address these noisy pots. So I've taken them away from the front of the radio, so I've got better access. I'm just going to squirt a little bit of deoxide switch cleaner in there, give them a work, and that should be good enough. The volume control really was noisy when I first got it, but it seems to have settled down a bit after being used for a little bit. But whilst we're in here, we'll give them a squirt with the switch cleaner, and hopefully that should make them so they're not as noisy. And the last one of the variables that needs doing, the KC shift and clarifier. Just work it in, and that should be good. So we'll give the radio a quick test. Everything still seems to be working as it should. So the next step, we need to alter some of these switches. So the first switch that needs to go will be the channel 9. So I've had to loosen the front of the radio just to give me a little bit more access. So the channel 9 switch has 3 wires, the yellow being the channel 9 active. So we can remove that wire completely. And then we need to connect together this pink and white, and seeing both of these wires go to the back of the channel select board, we'll just use the white wire and link it across. So the next switch to come out is the NB and ANL. Now you can see one of them is active on the bottom, one of them is active on the top. So the one that's active on the top, we can just remove those wires from the board as such, and the 2 ones that are active on the bottom in the off position, which is the NB, both go to these points on the board, which are luckily next to each other. So we can just desolder those and link them out on the bottom of the board. Now the third switch to be dealt with is the tone. Now we're going to move the tone across. So that's where the tone switch is going to live, and that gives us 2 free spaces. So whilst we've got these switches out, we'll give them a little squirt with switch cleaner. And then we can carry on. So that should be good for those. Now what we're going to switch first is the bleep or beep, as it's labelled on the board. So basically we just need to switch this wire. So there's one end of the wire, and I've used one of the wires that I've taken out from the previous switch removals to make the switch, and there we go. So now we've got the bleep on a switch, and we have a spare switch which will be used later. There we go, bleeps on the switch, works a treat. The tone still works, I like the tone control, so we're going to leave that one in on this radio. So while the moving round of the switches, well, it's partly to do with this. So this is the first version of this board that I've made, And I've actually altered it slightly since this one, but this one will do good for testing to see whether it actually does work. So this board will give -80, -40, 40, +40 UK FM and 10 kc, which is the alphas, and we've also incorporated 5 kc as well on a later board, but we're just going to use this one for testing at the moment. So first things, we need to remove this plate from the back of the PLL area. And we need to remove the PLL chip. So my vacuum desoldering tool makes short work of this as always. And in no time at all, the PLL is unsoldered, and we can gently remove it from the radio. Now, these PLLs are a little bit more available than the PLL02A, so if we do blow one up, it's not that much of a problem. Plus I've got a couple of spares that we'll be testing later on to see whether they're actually genuine. So a little clean up of the area, and we try and offer our board to it. Now I've soldered these pin headers through on a standard IC spacing, and it doesn't fit, so they must be using some bizarre spacing for this, so I'll have to adjust that when I make these. But for now I've just bent the pins out a little bit, and we just need to work these pins into the board as always, just to free the holes up a little bit. Now on the next revision of the board, I've made this board a little taller, so I don't have to move this capacitor out of the way, and makes getting the PLL chip in and out a bit easier. There isn't any height restrictions in this radio apart from the obvious case itself, so we'll no need to worry about that. So before I put any PIC chip or PLL chip in, I'm just checking the 5V supply to the actual PIC chip. This is derived from the 8.5V that's supplied to the PLL chip. And we have 5V on the correct pin of the PIC chip. And we have 8.4V on the correct pin of the PLL chip. Always best to check these before you plug any important ICs in. So let's check a couple of the data lines going to the PIC chip, coming from the binary adders. And they seem to be good. So I've actually wrote some code for this. So we'll program up a chip and we'll see what happens. So there's a PLL and the PIC chip in place. Let's fire it up and see what happens. Now this should be channel 1 midband, and as you can see, something is badly wrong. The VCO is very unstable, won't lock in places, and the frequency is all over the show. So I found out what the problem was, which was code problem as always, and there we have channel 1 midband. So now it's code writing time, and after a few hours we've got midband fully working. So as you can see, there's the alphas working. So just going up through the channels on mid-band, checking the alphas whilst we're going up. There's another alpha that's working. And you get that little shuffle round of the channels. And then onto the top 10 channels. So that works. So on to more code writing for the rest of the bands. But we do it in small pieces so we can work out where our faults are. So that's how the radio stands at the moment. So we're just going to do a test of it. So I'd only got mid-band programmed into this, and I was on channel 40 mid-band, and I heard this station coming in on a USB.
All UK want to call to in my direction. 73 Chris. Bye bye.
So let's see if we can get in contact with him.
6 Golf Bravo 032.
6 Golf Bravo 032. Again?
Straight in.
Yeah, 26 Golf Bravo 032. The name is Graham, Golf Romeo Alpha Hotel, Alpha Mike, located Manchester, United Kingdom. Over.
Graham, that's correct.
Roger, that's correct.
He was in Lyon, in France.
559. 59. Repeat your QTH.
Yes, it's Manchester, as in Manchester United. Copy?
Yeah, I copy 100% Graham. 5 by 9 of the last over, Graham. What is your working condition, please?
Okay, I'll give you a radio report. You're 5 and 9 plus 10. 5 and 9 plus 10. And my working conditions is a Superstar 360. And I'm using a vertical antenna, which is an IMAX 2000, and we're about 100 whiskies at the moment. Over.
Okay, QSL time, that works well, no problem. My side, antenna, 3 elements, tubercle quad from Innov Antenna in UK, and I am running 500 whiskey, 500 whiskey at the moment.
Yeah, 500 watts.
Yep, QSL on that, QSL. Yes, you must be keeping yourself very warm with 500 whiskies there. Anyway, I will let you carry on with your DX. You've got many stations calling into you. It's been very nice speaking to you. I wish you 7-3 and good DX from 26 Golf Bravo 032, Manchester, United Kingdom.
Thank you very much, Graham. Have a good afternoon, and see you later on the band, I hope, with pleasure. 73.
So that was a nice contact.
73. Take care, my friend.
Bye-bye.
Anyway, stay tuned for part 2 of the Superstar 360. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode.